You know that moment when something in a movie or a book just clicks with you in a way that you just can't explain? It's almost mystical or magical, and once it's fully laid out for you, it still has that amazing feeling, even at the very end. So, what is it that makes these stories just feel so real or make us want to obsess over them so much? If you don't know who I am, you're probably wondering why Discount Chris Kyle is giving you writing advice. My name is Cole Carcetti. I am the author of my science fiction novel Serendipity, and I am also the creator of LWS Odyssey. I feel as though it's my duty as an author to give out any advice I can to other inspiring or struggling authors right now. It's my goal to, inspire others and get the creativity out there because God knows there's not enough of it. So, purposeful ambiguity. Not everything can be as perfectly detailed as you want it to be. If you want to create something so captivating that you create a fandom around it, well, the devil is in what you don't tell the audience. If you tell your audience every single detail right from the get-go, then they're not experiencing a story, they're being told a story, which are two very different things. In order to experience a story properly, you need to treat your audience like they're smart. So many writers out there today do not treat their audience like they're smart because they're worried that their content is going to be misinterpreted. But trust me when I say that treating your audience like they're dumb, not really flattering. The great part about purposeful ambiguity is if you hit that certain sweet spot, it treats your audience just smart enough that people who are smart enough to pick up on those details will pick up on them, and those who can't really pick up on those can still enjoy the story for what it is. J.K. Rowling is the queen of some of these examples of this, where from the very beginning she's giving small details out about Horcruxes and all the magic related to that, but she's not outright saying it to the audience. She's just leaving details out there that almost no one can enjoy but her. But until later, once it's important again, that's once the audience can be in on the joke. Now, you can know just the surface level of how Horcruxes work in Harry Potter and the story still makes sense to you, but it's those people that now know the deeper lore of it that can go back to the callbacks and really enjoy the story again. Or sometimes you get an audience member that's real smart and picks up on it on their first go through. Let me give you a perfect example since we have Harry Potter on the mind right now. The very first book, there's a paragraph in which J.K. Rowling describes how Harry has a dream in which he feels like he was on the back of Professor Quirrell's head. Now, surface level, if you're looking at the story, makes sense because later, at the end of the book, we learned that Voldemort was on the back of Professor Quirrell's head. But if you know more about the Horcrux lore later in the story, you start to understand that there's a connection between Voldemort and Harry. Mind you, this is the very first book, and she's already dropping subtle hints of these two characters being connected in some sort of way. She leaves it ambiguous enough that if nobody knows the lore, that people will just assume it's magic. It doesn't need to be picked up by every single person who reads your book. Sometimes, a lot of details aren't picked up by people, and it takes decades before they actually see those details there. But outright not putting details in because you think it will confuse the audience or because they'll think it won't make sense, don't treat it that way. Just don't treat it that way. It's like watching a movie with your friend. Is your friend the type to point out every single prop in the background, or are they the type to just sit back and enjoy a beer while they're watching it? Not every audience member is the same, and not every audience member has to be the same. The one thing I can promise is if you put those details in there, somebody will see them. Never treat your audience like they're 2 years old. How would you feel if you were out in public and every single time there was an event going on, someone came up to you and talked to you like you were a child? Make the audience work for it. They have to have some skin in the game when they're going through the story. Not all of it has to be the author. It can be a lot into the audience. And here's the best part. If it's absorbed and misinterpreted as the wrong kind of detail that you wanted, well, then you just duplicated your story from 1 into 2. The more people that have more interpretations of what you wrote, the more versions that you have created. Now, if you're an author or if you just find this interesting, be sure to like and follow because I'll be making plenty of these. Never give up on your writing. Your book is just one good reader away from being the next big thing, and I'm gonna help you get there, one little bit at a time. Discount Chris Kyle, out.